Yeah, detail is key. As much detail as possible. Some of my case studies are as long as 3 to 5,000 words, right? They're massively detailed. And the reason for that is because I want people to see and understand my methodology and my thought process as to how we got to the end result.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Outsourcing and Scaling. My guest today is David Schloss. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
David, I'm doing great and I'm pumped to speak with you. For those of you that don't know, David is an online entrepreneur who began marketing in 2007 from his college apartment. Over the years, he has helped hundreds of businesses improve their website traffic, customer acquisition, and revenue using social media advertising. His business, Convert ROI, enables businesses to succeed by taking complicated social ad plans and seamlessly turning them into easy-to-follow revenue-producing campaigns. He manages over $2.5 million per month in paid advertising via Facebook and Instagram, and he's been rated as one of the top experts to watch by Forbes magazine, as well as being featured in Entrepreneur.com, Business Insider, The Huffington Post, and many other podcasts and shows, including this one. David, we're going to talk all about that. But first, I want to take a gigantic step back. What were you like growing up? Were you a rebel? Were you a straight A student? Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wouldn't say a straight A student. I would say probably closer to more A's than B's type of thing, right? So not nearly perfect, but
Right.
who is anyway? I was very quiet for the most part, and it wasn't until around probably like middle school or so that I started talking way more, started being more social with people, started to integrate more with people. I just found myself often feeling left out from things. And then as it progressed into high school, it was just nonstop. I was talking to everybody. So that's pretty much how I operate now, which is I'm a big believer in communicating with people on every level. I talk to probably 5 to 7 people a day, just naturally, whether it's clients or new prospects or anything like that. So yeah, that time of being a youngin' and barely talking to anybody, it seemed to progress into I talk to everybody now. So yeah.
Right. Did you go to college? Did you graduate college?
I went to the University of Florida, got a 4-year degree in tourism and hospitality management. I actually went in initially for finance, messed up my first semester, just completely partied out of control and didn't focus. And it actually took me off track. Within one semester, completely took me off track. And the business school was like, we're going to have to take you out of the finance program, which changed the entire trajectory of how I ended up developing this business, because the business I have today was created because of that situation. So if it wasn't for me flunking out that first semester and getting moved in a different track, I don't even know if I'd have my business today.
Wow. So yeah, talk to me about that first business and how that evolved. Let us know your story.
Sure. So I started my business, which now is called Convert ROI. Back then, it really was just, working with David Schloss, right? I was a freelancer. I was doing paid blog posts and writing articles for people where, just any subject they wanted to know about in the marketing advertising space. I first was developing my strong suit in writing. All right. So I would write all these blog posts for people, whether it was for individual blog sites or contributor sites or anything that people needed content for, I would be writing. And I used that just to develop some, cash flow in my life, because as a college student, most people are broke. I was one of them. And I really didn't have any online skills other than the fact that I knew how to write. And so I took that opportunity to write for quite a few people. And while I was doing that, I'd take that money and I was learning SEO and video marketing. I was just buying courses and we're downloading them for the ones I couldn't afford, black hat style, and basically just learned everything I could in that moment to where I then would have enough of a know-how of being able to do some sort of SEO or video SEO for local clients. And this was 12 plus years ago, almost 13 years ago. And so during that time, SEO was all the rage. Facebook was very new, only college kids were on it or high school kids who got into college. The ad platform was still in its infancy. And so running ads on that platform, you pretty much had to be invited, right? So for someone like me, where I was still waiting on an invitation, I had connections to people who worked for corporations who had an invitation. I was still doing SEO and video marketing, ranking videos on Google and YouTube. I mean, that's how far back you were able to do this sort of thing. It sort of made a resurgence in the last couple of years. And then I was ranking websites, just locally, nationally, doing that sort of thing all by myself from the comfort of my apartment at 18 years old, right? Just trying to make some money to survive because I was running off of loans like most kids now. And it was just too much stress. And so I learned those skills, applied it towards local businesses in the area. I'd ran ads for like a realtor and a property management company and a lawyer and a bike shop, like all the standard stuff you would expect. Except back then, trying to tell people how to rank a site was incredibly stressful because they were like, I could buy ads or I can, put an ad in the yellow pages or whatever, which is the same struggle people are having now when they're trying to talk about why you should buy Facebook ads or Instagram ads. It's like they're experiencing the same thing I was experiencing when I was trying to tell people why they need to do SEO, right? So that's how I got my initial start at 18, developing my business, which in hindsight was an agency. I just didn't think of it that way. I was the only guy, and yet I had 5 to 7 clients at any given time, and I was doing all the work myself because I didn't know how to hire at the time.
So you weren't even 21. What was that like pitching businesses at that age? I mean, did you get pushback? Did people take you seriously? I mean, I was an entrepreneur when I was 20, so I kind of know the answer to that question, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Tons of pushback. Being in college, it was very easy for them to know like, oh, this is a college kid, right? Because I was in a college town. The whole town is college kids. So the lawyers and the shops and the restaurants and all that in the area, they know 90% of the people that come in are college students or grad students, right? There's not that many other people there who've been living there for 10, 15, 20 years, right, unless they just love the town. And so I clearly didn't look like someone from the town. I was 18. I looked super young. And really it was just a matter of I had to just ooze confidence to these people in order for them to trust me. And it wasn't that they wouldn't trust me from the moment I would talk to them. It was more of like, I don't know if I should do this, right? So it was a lot of me having to convince them and show them why they need to do this thing, right? And at the time, I run a lot of my business off case studies now. I got tons of results. I could showcase what we've done over the years, or even in the last year, I can, bring up case study after case study. And that's easy when it comes to sales now. Back then, I didn't even have a case study. So a lot of it was just research, mentioning other websites that talked about someone else's results, and then just establishing trust, like giving it a time period, give me 1 to 3 months to showcase what I can do for you. And I would lower my pricing, not because I didn't feel confident to charge more. I just wanted them to establish trust with me. I can get them some results and then we'll sign a long-term deal. So yes, it was almost, I wouldn't say working for free, but a lot of it was, I wasn't working for much. If it was as an example, $1,000 a month deal, I was using 800 of that to make sure I get them results so that in month 3, when there's a renewal, they would renew for that same amount or more. And yet I would then, cut back a little bit more and have more of a margin to keep for myself. And that's where, a lot of stress in the beginning would come to fruition because I wasn't making much from all these efforts, but I needed the case studies. I needed the testimonials, or else I wouldn't be able to sign bigger clients or even have money to buy courses and learn more. So yeah, it was a struggle in the beginning, but there's just something about me talking to these people where I never had pushback in a sense of they didn't have trust in me. I seem to have a way of talking to people where it's like, let's give this guy a chance. And still to this day, I talk to massive corporations and they're like, you're in your house in a jacket and a shirt, probably sweatpants, and we're giving you this amount of money to manage our stuff. And yet they trust me. So obviously there's something that I'm doing that just feeds off of their energy. And it's like, look, I just want to help you. And clearly they want it too. So they just, here's the money, do your thing. So not much pushback there.
So you mentioned case studies a bunch of times. I mean, we built case studies for FreeUp, and it sounds like you've had a lot of success using those. Yep. For those of you listening who have never built a case study before, any tips, any recommendations, any way that you're structuring them to build that trust right from the beginning?
Yeah, detail is key. As much detail as possible. Some of my case studies are as long as 3,000 to 5,000 words, right? They're massively detailed. And the reason for that is because I want people to see and understand my methodology and my thought process as to how we got to the end result. And so I developed sort of like a pattern of how I create a case study over the years, right? My first case study was written about 5-6 years ago. I posted it up on Facebook, just showing how I took a client from a brand new account to like $20K a month. right? And I broke down everything, the audiences we used, the ads we used, how we segmented things, how we would layer different types of creative, every little detail. And then I just posted it. And of course, the only people who saw it were my friends, but my friends were influential enough that when they shared it or when they commented on it and tagged other people that they knew, it went from, I have 1,000 friends on my friends list to like getting 400 friend requests, and it's getting shared everywhere. And to this day, anytime I post a case study, that same exact effect happens. And it actually has been emailed to some people, right? Where now I make my post public so anyone could see it. And I'll get someone who's come off Google, landed on my profile somehow, and they're like, I read your case study. And so it's all about the detail. So the more you can break down the knowledge behind why you did what you did and why you would do things a certain way or what you would do to change it so the results would be more in your favor. You establish trust. It shows your wisdom. People see that you've been practicing and being very patient in getting these results. Sort of shows off how you are a business person, right? Are you someone who's super eager and you need to get results now? Or are you establishing something with your client where it's like, no, this took us 9 months. This took us 6 months. And we took our time in developing the process and getting to this point, because the more they can understand how you got there, one, it'll attract the clients you want because they'll want the same exact process. And two, you won't attract anyone who's like, I want results now, which is super stressful to begin with, right? In the paid ads world, everyone assumes that the moment you put in $1, you should get 3 back within 3 days, right? It does. Some people that happens. Those are the home runs. Most people don't hit home runs. So, you want to make sure you're putting out there what you want to get back. So, if you want someone who's willing to go in for the long haul, get results over time, build a well-structured business, to build a legacy, well, you got to put out a case study that's going to sort of exude that in how you talk and how you present yourself.
I love that. I think that's great advice. So you work from home, right?
Yes.
And I'm assuming it's not just you doing all the work. You have a team around you, right? Are they all remote? Do you have an office anywhere?
All remote, home office. I have a big enough office that I could have 7 or 8 people here, but I don't. It's all remote. I've sort of built this culture in my company to where I want everyone to be comfortable in their own setting, because all we are here to do is get results for our clients. My clients don't care where we're at. I could be in Bali, I could be in, the UK, I could be in the state of California. It doesn't matter. They just want to know that whomever they're paying is getting the job done and that we're building the ideal business of our dreams. And if that ideal business is that this company's making $5 million a year and they got their team of 10 and they got an office, that's cool. My whole thing is I got my team of 7 plus myself. We all work from home. We work during set hours and we get the job done. And it's been that way for years now. I've had a team for, I'd say, close to 5 years now. A lot of it was done by myself in the very beginning, from 18 to 25 years old for the most part. I did everything myself. And then after that, once I learned how to hire and, sort of quiz people on the process and develop a foundation and fundamentals behind my process, I was able to hire more people. So now things are a lot more fluid. Things are more structured, but, took about 7 years for me to get to that point.
So as a marketing agency, what type of people are you hiring, and how are you hiring them? Are they all full-time, or some part-time, or some project-based? Talk to the audience about that.
So everyone starts out part-time, and it's not because of a money thing. It's more of just, you can be very inundated with agency work the moment you start. So if I hired you full-time and I let you know that we have 30 plus clients on board, it's very easy for me to assign you to 10 clients, have you analyze and audit all these accounts and get you moving. Like I can have you do 40, 50 hours of work a week, but I'm not trying to establish a culture of people who coast all day.
Right.
I establish a culture of, you have 20 hours to complete this work, and you can do those 20 hours however you want. You want to do 10 hours in 2 days? Great. You want to do 5 hours a day, 4 days a week? That's fine. But you have 20 hours, and here's the people we have to take care of. And so in the beginning, I establish pretty much like not just speed, but understanding, like I know how long it takes to manage an account. I know how long it takes to develop campaigns. If it takes you 4 hours when it takes my junior ad manager an hour, there's a disconnect there. We need to work on that. So I'm not going to assign you to more stuff. I'm going to have you assigned to less until we get you to the point where you're executing things at the same speed as everyone else. And so everyone starts out part-time. around 20 to 25 hours. Most people start at 20. And then over time, as we are assigning more projects and looking at the scope of work for most people, they'll get moved up. Now, the funny thing is that out of my team of 7, 4 of these people have been on consistent 25 hours a week of work for almost 2 years now. And they get everything done because, fun fact, I hire a lot of stay-at-home moms. They're on a fixed schedule. Their kids are at school. I have this much time. I got to do it all in this time. And then after that, it's family time the rest of the day, right? So if they have 5 hours, they are going to be the fastest executors of your stuff in those 5 hours because they know that at hour 5, minute 1, kid comes home, it's game over. There's nothing else they can do. And so I hire a lot of people who are, single moms, stay-at-home moms with large families, like people like that. Some have been with me for almost 2 years now, and they just like the fixed time. I give great bonuses to people because they get so much done in that such a small window of time. It's like, I'm going to pay you like you're working 40 hours a week, even though you're only working 25. Because
so are you
results.
Sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. I was going to say, like, we get results. The clients love it. They don't care who's doing the work. They just want to make sure that if someone needs to be communicated with, they can communicate with them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the ad manager. They just want to make sure someone's listening. And so if the work is getting done at a speed that's great for everyone, I don't care if they work 20 hours, 25 hours, I'll compensate you like you're working 40 because you're doing exactly what we need. The clients love it. We're hitting our KPIs. We're getting bonuses. Everyone's taken care of. And that's why people don't leave. That's why my team has been so well structured. Like the people who've left, it's not because, I fired them or anything. Like some people they get better opportunities. And then some people are just like, I had to go get a more full-time gig in my hometown. Like it's just more internal stuff for them. But when I am teaching these people like how to manage their time and have more freedom, like I want them to work 25 hours. Go and enjoy the rest of your time with your family. Just make sure we get the work done. And that's all. And that's all I ever ask. And it seems to work.
So are you hiring anyone that has skills that they're bringing to the table, or do you have your systems, your process, and they need to follow it?
So up until about 6 months ago, all the people I hired were brand new. Like there was no pre-existing in any sort of like pre-existing knowledge. They worked for another agency, none of that. And that's always surprising when I tell people that. They're like, why would you hire someone who has zero idea what they're doing? Because I believe in my education enough to where someone brand new can come in and within 3 months be as good or close to as good as me at running ads. That's how well structured we are with teaching people Facebook or Instagram, right? So someone comes in, they're completely green, they have zero idea how to do this stuff, and by the end of 3 months, they're trained enough to have complete creative control over an account without me being over their shoulder. That's just how we do things. Now, the reason why we hired someone with pre-existing agency experience about 6 months ago was because we took on an account that was spending $350,000 a month, and my entire team was scared, just completely scared of taking on an account of that magnitude. Because with those accounts, typically it's myself, my most experienced ads manager, someone who's been with me for almost 3 years now, and then I was like, we need one more person. And the rest of my ad managers already had enough work. And so I was like, I'm going to bring on someone a little more experienced, but they have to still go through my own foundational training because I don't want someone else's foundation. I want you to use mine. And that was the main thing that we had to find. We went through a large interview process of people who were just like, oh, I learned from this person, I learned from that person. It's like, cool, you're still going to have to go through my stuff. Like there's no shortcutting that. And we had some pushback on that, surprisingly. So once we found the person who was willing to learn, it was actually quite easy. So for big projects, we usually assign 3 ad managers to it because there needs to be more dedication to the account. And that was the first time we decided, you know what, let's get someone a little more experienced, someone who's willing to play our game, but they understand like this is the process. We know what works for us. And if they're willing to go through it, then, obviously they'll be paid well. And at the same time, they can take over a big account from day one.
So a question I get asked a lot is about bonuses. And I understand it's different if someone's in the US, the Philippines, part-time, full-time, project-based. How did you create your bonus structure? And if there's an agency listening out there, how would you recommend that they structure theirs?
So we have like I sort of call it like a hybrid bonus structure. So here's what I mean by that. So I get a lot of referral business. And my team, I've sort of indoctrinated them to my process of like networking with people, constantly networking, whether it's events locally, online events, groups, things of that nature. Because there's always some sort of thread on Facebook or Instagram where someone says, who do you know can run ads? For example, today I was already tagged in 4 different threads pertaining to running Facebook ads, right? It's constant. Now, one of the things that I sort of taught my team was, I don't want you to go out there and be like, David's the best, David's the best. I don't need that. I don't want you to do that. It looks like scamming and spamming people. I don't want that, right? I want you to create natural conversations with people who are obviously wanting to learn ads, talk about ads. Maybe there's some value you can bring to the table for them. And if they ask you like, hey, how can I work with you on running some ads? Bring them to me. We'll get the deal done. And they actually get a large piece of that deal, nice. Right? So for example, we actually give about 25% of the management fee per month to the person who brings in that client. Another thing is a lot of our higher end clients, the ones that spend over $50K a month, we have these packages where it's like a base fee plus a commission. Either it's a commission of the back end sales, maybe it's like profits from a certain promotion, a launch, percentage of spend, right? There's all sorts of different hybrids that we have for bigger accounts. And outside of the referral part, because I close many of those deals by myself, I'll say, okay, we obviously want to spend correctly for this client. We want to optimize things the right way. So if we end up not only getting towards $75,000 a month in ad budget, but then they decide to extend our contract, give us a higher management fee, or they adjust our percentage and give us a higher management fee on that deal, I'll give a percentage of that to the entire team, right? So let's say all of a sudden we get a $10,000 a month deal, management wise. Typically our base is 5 on that side. We'll take the extra 5 and we'll give 50% of that to the team, divided up monthly, so long as we're still hitting that number. So you can imagine that some of my people, once again, only working 25 hours a week sometimes, making as much as some people who are working 40 hours a week, right? And more than some people at the senior level. We're talking my junior people are sometimes making more than people on the senior level, right? So I compensate for a lot of the extra stuff they do because I want them to be happy. The more happy they are, the more loyal they become. They don't leave. They understand that I give them a lot of creative freedom. I give them a lot of freedom with their schedule because at the end of the day, I don't want them to be like, oh, we're just doing everything and we want David to do nothing. Like, I'm still involved in the process. I want them to feel like they're a part of a family. They're a part of the entire growth process. They see how when my company grows, they grow too. And at the same time, we're impacting our clients because when I go into these calls with my clients, I don't say, how much more money do you want to make? I oftentimes will ask them, like, what's the thing that you've been dreaming about that we want to help you achieve? For example, a coach might say, I want to buy a new house. Cool. What's the number we have to achieve so you can get that house? And when we help you get that house, how do we compensate my team for, maybe this person wants to go on a cruise or this one wants to buy a new MacBook, right? Like, how do we create a giant compensation for everybody? And so some of our deals are just like everyone's benefiting from it simultaneously. And that's how we come up with our compensation plans. It's very unique and customized based on circumstances.
So let's talk a little bit about those high-end clients, the ones that are over $50,000 a month. What strategies are you using here today that you can share with the audience? Maybe someone who doesn't know marketing, doesn't know Facebook as much as you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the funny thing is that a lot of what you do at the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month ad budget levels are very similar to what you would do at the $50K and above. You're just doing it at a higher and you're oftentimes testing a lot faster. What I mean by that is this. You will start ad budgets at, let's just say on an audience level, $100 a day per audience. Maybe you're testing 10 audiences simultaneously, right? So that's $1,000 a day. When you are getting to the point where you're scaling beyond that, you are testing every possible audience configuration you could think of. And you could still start at $100 a day. You might have lookalike audiences from 1 to 10%. You can have lookalikes with the range gaps where it's like 1 to 2%, 2 to 3%. There's all sorts of lookalikes there. Then you got retargeting. You got different forms of retargeting. If you really conceptualize all the different campaign structures you can create for a client, you can end up having 20 to 30 campaigns running simultaneously. And within those campaigns have 10 or 20 audiences each. And if you really look at how much that is in terms of amount spent per day, imagine if each one of those had $100 per audience a piece per campaign, right? So if one campaign has 10 audiences at 100, that's $1,000 per campaign. And if you have 30 campaigns, it can get quite expensive really quickly, right? They're not all going to work at the same time. Some of them need to be deployed over time. Some of them only run certain days of the week. But you could see, like, that's just $100 a day in audience. There are some accounts where we have to do a lot of manual bidding. So a lot of the ad sets will say, $5,000 a day, but they might only spend $500 or $700 a day, right? So there's all different types of configurations, but it's the same exact system or process you're using for smaller accounts, just at a larger scale. You're just taking more of your ideas and executing them simultaneously versus spreading them out. Because oftentimes with smaller accounts, let's say 10K a month, you might have 7 ideas you want to execute, but you're only going to do 2 at a time. Because if you deployed all 7, you'll spend 10K in a week, right? So you're just slowly deploying different types of ideas over time, right? Couple of them a week, and then you find the ones that are winning, you keep them on. Maybe you increase budgets for those. For the ones that aren't working, you turn them off, and then you just leave that budget for the next test. Larger accounts, there is no waiting. You just do it, all of it. Get it all out there, deploy everything. Maybe you schedule out a couple so there's not a lot of overlap. But, I mean, man, $300,000 accounts, I mean, there is no waiting. It's just go, 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 deploy that, deploy this, make sure this audience gets this ad. Like, it's just go. There's no waiting. And so that's why you'll often see, like, the people who really understand ad accounts, they'll look at something and go, I don't understand how this is working compared to this one. It's like, well, this one just has a faster testing period. We can make decisions in 24 hours. Whereas in this account, we might have to wait 3 days or 4 days before we can make another decision and then deploy the next set. So, I mean, I know most people would say, like, where's the actual strategy there? It's the same stuff. You're just doing it at a faster pace. That's all it is. So, yeah.
I love it. Anything that we missed?
Honestly, I mean, from a hiring standpoint, I'll just say this, like the compensation part, like the bonuses is really important. Some people will get paid $10 an hour, $15 an hour, $20 an hour, depending on where you are. It could even be $5 an hour, right? And a lot of my people on the low end will start at like 15 or even 20. And it's because I want them to be feeling like they are valued in this process. And I'm not hiring people who are trying to be entrepreneurs. I'm hiring people who want to be a part of a team for the long term. If I was hiring entrepreneurs, which I did in the beginning, most of them leave within 3 to 6 months and oftentimes steal my process and go try to do it themselves, right? So I'm looking to create a culture. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard that before, but I want to create a culture and loyalty and honesty, a lot of wisdom, right? We share with each other what we find, because I feel that if you compensate those people, like, they will grow with you. They'll end up becoming your superstars. And, if they end up doing their own thing, bless them. It's all good. It's okay. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who make you look good. So appreciate them. Give them what they deserve, and you should be all good.
David, this has been great. Where can people find out more about you, and what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
Sure. So you can connect with me through my website. You can email me direct. You can email me at david@convertroi.com, or you can go to convertroi.com for any info you want to know about my agency and how we work. If you want to connect with me further, there's also Facebook. You can search my name, David Schloss. I'm the one with the little blue check. You can find me there, official, And then other than that, what I'm excited about, quite honestly, like, the Facebook world is evolving. Everything's more Instagram these days, and I'm getting a lot of business just pertaining to strictly Instagram. So I'm really excited to see where that whole world evolves, what they're going to do with Oculus, what they're going to do with, different types of ad placements, whether or not it's going to get too convoluted with the amount of advertisers that want to jump on, or if it's just going to be Google 2.0, where there might be a slow period where advertisers leave and then come back. I'm excited about it either way, because this is the first time where I'm a part of a network for 12 years now, and I'm still on it. And I've already established my foothold on the space. So for me, it's like I'm watching, people leave, people come in, and it's great to be more of the observer this time, versus being on the outside going, I wish I was in there. Like, I'm actually experiencing the good stuff now, being someone who's been in the space for so long. So I'm just excited to see how everything unfolds over the next 3 to 5 years.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.